I can see the stars align, dance around the moon every night. And now my eyes are open wide, and the sky has never looked so bright. Now I don't need to see the road to believe, yeah. 'Cause this is where I'm meant to be, I believe. And I feel the magic, magic everywhere. It's all around us, it's in the air. And I see the magic, magic we can share. So much wonder everywhere. And I feel the magic, ooh. Can you imagine, ooh. And I feel the magic, ooh. Can you imagine, ooh. And I feel the magic. It's all around us. And I feel the magic. It's all around us. There's wonder on this winding road in front of me, yeah. 'Cause I'm right where I'm supposed to be. And I feel the magic, magic everywhere. It's all around us, it's in the air. And I see the magic, magic we can share. So much wonder everywhere. And I feel the magic, ooh. Can you imagine, ooh. And I feel the magic, ooh. Can you imagine, ooh. And I feel the magic. It's all around us. And I feel the
It is all around us. Good evening. It's Monday evening, so that means it's Soul and Beyond. Hello, Twinkle33. Hello, Jackie Hall, Karen Mack, Lisa Murray, Mandy Young. Gracious. Hello, Mandy. Great to see you all here. Tanya. Hi, Tanya. The name of that song. I do believe, Tanya, it is called The Magic is All Around You, but I will go and see if I can find it for you, and I'll pop it up next week. Somebody remind me. Losing it? No, just a filing cabinet, with what's in there. How have you all been? Oh, and by the way, to everyone that watches the replay, everyone that is new, I'm Gwenda, your host of Soul and Beyond. Welcome. I can confidently say to you that we never know where this is going to go. In fact, I thank you, Jackie. Hi, Samantha. Lovely to have you back again too. Welcome. Getting ready for you this evening was really interesting. It's never not interesting, I can say that. Lots of things came forward, and finally, when it all came to rest, when I was asking, okay, so where are we going with this, which was really a silly question. Because when we open ourselves to, let's just go and be guided, let's let it be and let me see, then magic happens and everything opens up differently. When there was messages coming through, they seem to go from what appears to be happening in, Twinkle, you're emotional. Well, I send you a big hug and hope that there is some inspiration in the messages for you tonight to help quell those emotions. All right. My gosh. So there was talk of things that people are being distracted by. There was talk of clusters of people in where they're at. There was messages about people passing, people arriving, endings, beginnings. I'm like, where are we going with this? Dare I ask, where are we going with this? Instead, I'm excited to see where we're going with this. So on the premise of low vibration, low frequency, there is a lot of ruckus going on out there about things that are coming into play through what are called government. And there's a lot of people upset about what is pending. On the face of that, when you look at it, yeah, good reason for people to be concerned and having discussions around it. But what good is that? Then there is those who are mourning. Very, very long time and dear girlfriend of mine said farewell to her young sister, leaving behind 2 young daughters and a husband. Another friend farewelled her father. That was Lisa a few weeks ago, but now another one. And a lady whose son flew from Perth to the East Coast, and when he walked out into the arrivals lounge, he was gone. He dropped and he was gone. So people mourning the end of the physical life. And then I was guided over to pick up a poetry book, which is actually poetry written by pioneers, families of pioneers, along what's called the Nullarbor of Australia. And I'm going to say here that, as far as I know, the poetries in this book are written by Wadjala people, which means they're white people. It would be incredible to see poetry or stories written by our own Aboriginal people that lived across the Nullarbor. Unfortunately, there wouldn't be anything that is in print because they didn't write in those days. And I'm talking way back. They used drawings. They lived off the land, on the land, for the land, knew that they were connected to the land. So writing words, they wrote pictures, they wrote stories through pictures and symbols on the walls of caves. On the Nullarbor, many of those caves are now submerged, not there to be seen. I also know of caves that have been deliberately blown up to be filled in after nuclear testing was done out in the Nullarbor. And I do know with confidence the reason that they were blown up was not only to hide the fact that there were Indigenous people living in that area, but to hide things that, shall we say, the powers that be would not want the public to know. So, endings and beginnings. we've talked before, there is nothing and no thing in this world that stays the same. Everything changes and everything has an end. So when we look at, shall we say, the distractions and the disturbances that are being created by those who believe they're in a place of power, and most of the people think they're in a place of power because they have a certain title like parliamentarian, politician, professor, and so on. None of them last forever. None of them have that control forever. All things come to an end. So the distractions and the worry that is going on presently, and the talk around what's going to happen to the world, well, it ends. It ends as we know it in cycles. So we've talked briefly on here about people saying move to the fifth dimension. And then there are others that are talking about move to the ninth dimension. And those of you who are with me often know what I say about that. If you can't get a handle on being in the third dimension, which is where you chose to come, then what's the point of you trying to jump to the fifth, the 10th, the ninth, whatever dimension? Because your physical self won't be able to manage it. So everything in this realm, in this third dimension, has a beginning and an end. Your own life has chapters whereby you have beginnings of new times and then it ends. And what happens for you is you come to crossroads. And crossroads are a time of meaning, meant to sit and review and assess and wait. But what happens when you're in crossroads is you become very cranky because nothing seems to work. Nothing seems to move forward for you. And that's exactly right, because it's not meant to. You're meant to actually be in that place of waiting, like being in a hammock, and a time of reviewing where you've been and where you would like to go. It's also around a time of healing what has been so that you can prepare for what is to come. But have you ever been in that place where you feel like you can't make decisions and you get frustrated, annoyed because life doesn't seem to be serving you in the way you want it to serve you? It doesn't seem to be going the way that you want it to go. Have you ever been there? And then all of a sudden, it's like somebody takes the brakes off and away you go. But most often, when you go, you cart all the junk from that previous chapter with you. So when we look at all these writings, books, videos, talking about end of world, end of times, the golden age, the age of Aquarius, etc., that is nothing new. The earth goes through shedding times. The earth goes through growth times and contraction times, just like you. And why is that? Because you are part of the earth, as you are part of the heavens. But the earth has everything for you to be able to experience this third dimension of physicality. So when we get caught up in people carrying on about what might come, what is looking like it's going to come, we need then to really move inwards, not outwards. It's at those times we need most of all to be in divine union, to be very much aligned with your spirit soul and with the divine, with your guides, with the angels, beginning on the inside. When we look at the history of, let's say, world wars, and we look at the dominance of the Brits, the Vikings, the Romans, the Scottish, or the English, the Brits. These things are repeated in history, the history of this world. Why? Why do you think things are repeated? Are we caught in a loop? Are we really caught in some kind of portal here that just replays? How is it that people survived the likes of Auschwitz? How is it that people survived atrocious things that the Spaniards, the Vikings, the Scottish did? How did people survive? Do you think in those days, if they had newspapers and town criers who went to every village and every house and spruiked, what's coming down the road, do you think less people would have survived or more people would have survived? Because we're looking down the barrel of that now. We are looking down the barrel of another great time of change in this dimension. Now, for people that want to skip out of this dimension and go visit other dimensions, well, good on you. And the bad news is you have to come back here. So if you're going to go out there and you want to reach into the 5th dimension, the 9th, whatever, then you best know what you're doing out there, and you best know what you want to bring back and how that is going to affect you in your life, and therefore all of your family, because of the interconnectedness, and also how it's going to affect humanity. Because we have a single consciousness that is based on false beliefs, false perceptions, until you do the deep inner work and really know who you are and what your life is about. And then there is the consciousness of your family, your birth family, that you are a part of, and you all actually share a very powerful connection, like it or not. And then we have the mass collective consciousness, and then we have the consciousness beyond the physical world. So when you want to skip on out to other dimensions, make sure you have a purpose for going out there, and consider what it is that you're going to bring back for your true self, and how you can help others in your family, and then humanity. It's a lot, really, isn't it? And would you be bothered? Most people aren't. That's why they're not conscious. I'm just going to read some of your messages while perhaps you share some of what you're thinking about what I've said, because, this is a lovely conversation. So come on in and have a conversation. Share your thoughts. When we share thoughts, we're sharing much more than thoughts. We are sharing energy. when we have an energy exchange and we're able to raise that energy, then we become a contributor to the greater consciousness, beyond that which is false beliefs, conditioned beliefs, fear that belongs to this world. Twinkle 33. Understand this and also wish to know how to do this. Overcome childhood, was consumed with all that may come or could happen. I'm happy to live life as it is. Just confused by past thinking patterns. Well, we'll unpack that, Twinkle. I'm going to start at the end. Past thinking patterns, confused by past thinking patterns. That is definitely a front of mind. That is in the mind that really has distortion in it. False beliefs, false conditioning. So to be confused by past thinking patterns, if you were going into your pantry and you were going through all the packets and jars and things and looking at expiry dates, what would you do with something that is past its expiry date? Everyone, what would you do with it? Shall I beat you or you're going to answer me? What would you do with things out of your pantry that are past their use-by date? Thanks, Karen Mack. Thank you, Tanya. Thank you. Yeah, that's exactly right, Tanya. You get rid of it. So when it comes to past ways of thinking, past ways of reacting, the best thing to do is look at it as something that is past its use-by date. Because if it's not serving you, for the life you want to live now, and it's not serving you for the way that you want to be able to view things and think, then it's past its use-by date. Does that make sense, Twinkle? I can't believe your name's Twinkle. I have a very precious girlfriend that I nicknamed Twinkle. Mandy. My life this week, working on fear-based beliefs causing me physical pain and letting them go. Good girl, good to read. Toss it, yeah, that's right. Histories of false narrative, throw it out. I like that, Jackie. I like that. So, Twinkle, when it comes to being confused by past thinking patterns, there's another key word there. Patterns of behaviour, patterns of ways of thinking that don't serve you, that are not of your highest good. Ask that your mind be free of all that is not of your highest good. I want you also all to start to close out the astral plane, and I'm well aware of what other people say on channels about the astral plane. But for those of you who follow me and are aware of my teachings, I'm going to ask you to close out the astral plane. All access to the astral plane when you go to sleep is denied. It's refused and denied. Because when you have things like Twinkle has explained, and even Mandy, when you go to sleep and your soul spirit goes walkabouts, first place it will go and first place it kind of gets caught up in is the astral plane. Trust me, there is nothing good in the astral plane that you want. There's monsters in there. And there's nightmares in there, and it's where all of your thoughts, so if you're in a place like Twinkle where you're confused by past thinking habits, oh my gosh, the astral plane will get hold of you and have a field day with you. And then you wonder why the next day you're extremely exhausted and worse, and you can go into overwhelm, anxiety, and deep fear, depression, misery, right? You're very welcome. What's that, Jackie? None of my business. All this BS is not serving me. Yeah. And Twinkle, yes, this is where I'm at. It's a big barrel of stuff, but also know that discernment is within my best interest. Yeah. So when you guys, you come back and tell me that you're aware, Mandy's aware that these fears are causing physical pain, you're letting them go, and Twinkle's saying, you know that discernment is your best interest. But can you see how you tip yourself on your head by your previous words or even the words after? So when we're going to sit in a place of higher awareness and we're going to call on higher guidance, we're going to call on our real self from within, then we can't convolute that and dilute it by coming in and saying, well, I know that I need to let go of this. I know that discernment is my best thing. That's confusing to the soul. It's confusing to that higher aspect of yourself. Make the determination and stick with it. Mandy has reminded me also something that came through about endings and beginnings to do with healing. So we'll come back to that. Yes, Lisa. Yeah, you do say that just before you go to sleep. Oh, relating to the astral plane. Yo, you're welcome. Yeah, something. Well, here's a funny thing, Jackie. Was that happened to be Saturday night? Because that happened to me on Saturday night. Interesting. Yeah. At any given moment, we have a choice where we hold our focus and where we hold and give energy to attention, or what attention we want to give energy to. Every time it's something from the outside that you find causes you pain in your chest, or your tummy feels tight, or you might even have to rush off to the toilet, those are the minutes, those are the moments of richness where you go, oh, hang on a minute, let me just breathe with this. If you have to rush to the toilet, rush to the toilet. But while you're there, let me breathe with this. Let me breathe and sit away from this and see what it is that is coming into your physical. Is it restriction? Is it constriction? Feel and listen to your body, because there's your answer. And what is it that you've been around that has created that sense of restriction, or that sense of nausea, a sudden headache? Ask yourself, what is that about? Because it will most often be because of something that you are being caught up in that is in your outer world. Now, I say this with the deepest and greatest respect for everyone who is in grief, who is in sorrow. So please hear me out to the end. The guidance tonight that came through was about endings and beginnings. When we are faced with the loss of a loved one, it is more about us than it is them. The pain of the loss is ours. The regrets are ours. My girlfriend, whose sister passed last week, She was telling me about the family's behaviour regarding her sister's farewell. And she said that she felt it was very staged, it was very look proper, and what will everyone else think? In fact, her mother even stated that. Little has been given, little thought in the preparation has actually been given to the wants and the wishes of the young woman who's gone. And why would that be? Because we want our hurt to be quelled. We want. A passing of a loved one is a very good time to be able to observe yourself and find out where you really sit in your own relationship with yourself. You know, one of the segments in the teachings in the school of H.E.A.L, wisdom, enlightenment, self-healing, and also in the soul mastery is values, personal values. And as the students, participants come to find, it's all very wonderful to say that honesty, integrity, compassion, empathy, those sort of things are your personal values. And then the question I have to follow is, how often do you live that? And trust is a big one. Loyalty is another one. They sound great. But when people have to drill down into them and really step up to own just how loyal are they to themselves, how much trust do they have to themselves in their own heart, how's their authenticity to themselves, it's usually a big fat 0 or a 1 or a 2 out of 10. And the reality of that bites. So when we are farewelling someone, it's all that stuff that comes up. What we could have done, what we should have done, what we wished we'd said, what we wished we didn't said. Great grammar. The if onlys. And then sometimes people go through an anger phase and they're angry with the person who's gone. Well, they should have, they could have, they might have, they owed me an apology. Fiddlesticks. That's all bluster and bravado from a place of pain. This all goes to what Twinkle actually asked before. Old patterns of thinking, old ways of behaving. So when you look at life rolling in chapters, your life being like a book, when there are things that are not resolved, when you look at things that scream that you are not in alignment with your higher self, they're going to get dragged into every chapter until you let go. With that comes physical pain. With that comes lack of wealth, lack of security. Not security in people around you, security in yourself. And then that is projected out, and you find there isn't security in the aspects of your life where you would like there to be. Kim Jane's got a question that's kind of relevant and kind of not, but I'll get the guidance to answer it. Okay, so for one, it can be a misunderstanding that that person's still around through your own wants, your own carryover of grief, regret, what ifs. And who's to say that claiming karma? So it's irrelevant what is going on with someone else. That is a great example, Kim Jane, of exactly what they're talking about tonight. When your energy is focused on what someone else is doing or not doing, whether they are in the living or whether they are in the other living, then you're not in alignment and you're not able to be in a place of authenticity that is aligned with your true self. When someone else wants to throw insults or try their hardest, there's that word, try, their hardest to hurt you, if you are able to observe yourself immediately, then you know that you can return that energy and everything that was carried in it back to its owner, provided you're not sending it back with harm. You're simply giving back what's been given out, and you are allowed to do that. It all comes down to how you participate in your life. And if you want to be able to step into a higher consciousness, you can do that very easily, and you will come back wiser and with so much more awareness if you're ready, which leads me into healing. So why is it that 4 people in a ward with the same diagnosis on the same treatment all heal differently or not? Why is it that 4 young men, all with fractured femurs from motorbike accidents, same plates, same screws on their fractures, all heal differently? It's because of what they believe. It's because of how they feel about this disturbance in their physical body. So we had a lady in the ward one time that had the worst case of shingles we'd seen. My gosh. And every time we were in handover for our shifts, the comment was made, we hope that the shingles don't meet up, because the old wives' tale was that if shingles meet up, you die. Never seen it. I've never seen it. But that's because we've never seen a shingles case get that bad. But this lady's shingles case was horrendous. And it come right around her middle, and it really was like that far off joining up. Now, hers was the most severe case of all. Another lady came in that ward with shingles. Nothing like that one. Nothing like it whatsoever. And yet you would have thought somebody had torn her leg off. Why is that? Is that because everybody has a different pain threshold? Could be. But really what it is what is it that's paining you in your life that you can't deal with, you don't want to deal with? So it's had to manifest into a physical condition to get your attention. So the lady that had a much less a case of shingles, who performed like a circus monkey, she had a lot more pain medication and a lot more demanding was on her bell all the time compared to the other lady. The other lady, my gosh, had every reason to be calling for pain medication every hour, but she didn't. Everything that takes place, beginning and end. So with what we're watching going on, hearing about what's going on in the greater world, like someone told me the other day that it's now illegal for you to grow your own vegetables and to be self-sustained, to have chooks in the UK. And people are in a panic about that. Then there is some new legislation about disinformation that the Australian government is bringing in. And there are sectors of people who are glued to that and in uproar, but they're in so much angst over that. Now they're going to end up sick. Everything has a beginning and an end, just like the world wars. Just like the wars in the Middle East. Yeah, they've gone on forever, but they do have times where there's nothing, apparently. Nothing, no thing in this world is without an end of time. Nothing. So when you're looking at healing, you're looking at shifting old patterns of behaviors of any kind, be it thinking, be it eating, be it drinking, be it exercise. It really doesn't matter what it is. But if you're thinking of shifting something that is not serving you to your highest good, then first and foremost, you need to really have a look at your preparedness to let it go and to recognize there's something here that I'm not letting go of, rather than claiming some sort of situation, way of thinking. Step away, observe yourself and ask, what is it? What is it that troubles me, that I'm creating this ruckus in my body or in my mind? If going for a walk on the beach, by a river, in the bush, if that is what suits you, then do that and ask all the way. Ask to be healed, ask to be guided, ask to know what it is, whatever question really, really resonates with you. But you know what? Make a determination before you go on that walk. When I come out the other end, because your walk is going to end, right? Your walk, you run, you skip, you swim, whatever it is, it's going to end. Everything ends. So it's going to end. So what do you want when that walk ends, that skip, that run, that dance? What do you want? How do you want to feel? What do you want to feel? Not what do I want to feel is gone, because that's focusing and giving power to what you are already claiming you feel, you're claiming that isn't going well in the body or the mind. Does that make sense? So as you get ready, you might be putting your shoes on or your bathers on, make your decision on what you want to feel when you finish that walk, that swim, that run, whatever it is. And it's what you want to feel, how you want your body, your mind to feel and that's all. So there is no focus on yeah, but, or what if, or well, I don't know, I haven't quite finished with that. Then you're in the mind and you're going to be like the 4 people in the ward who don't heal. Healing is about transformation. So if we want to transform something, we can't cart the caboose along that's weighing us down in the first place. If we want to transform something, we've got to take ourselves through that and out the other side and be able to bring to ourselves a greater awareness of ourselves. Let's see what you've got to say. Tanya, you got question marks, darling. Tanya, what are you questioning there? Mandy, what do we do if we just can't work it out? Love this, Mandy. Thank you. The idea is not to work it out. The idea is to surrender to what is. Let it be. If you're going on a quest and this has not worked for you, it's because your mind is in the way. So give it up. It's not going to happen because your mind is creating blocks. So rather than look for what it is, ask what the feeling is. What is the feeling you have? What's the emotion? So when we have, for example, dermatitis, inflammation on the skin. So people will describe it as being hot, prickly, itchy, burning, scratchy. Or they will say, oh, I'm so inflamed today. So when you feel into something that's going on, you want to ask yourself, what are the words you use to express it? What are the words you say? And for some people, it gives them the makes them angry, frustrates me, sick of it, stops me from moving. So you want to look at the phrases and the words you use, and there's your answer. And then you can ask yourself, what is it around me that's inflaming me, that's burning me up, that's irritating me? But this is where real honesty comes in. And a lot of people don't want to be honest, that they're finding it really hard raising a kid or kids on their own. They're finding it really hard that their partner isn't home to help more. They're finding it really difficult that they don't have friends that they can lean on. They're finding it very difficult that they haven't got family around them to support them, to help them through whatever life is bringing their way. But people won't be honest with this stuff and say to them, I'm fed up. I'm fed up with not having someone who listens to me and gets what I'm saying. Do you see what I'm saying? So really being prepared as you go for that walk, owning up to yourself, being very honest. Jackie, welcome openness to healing. We do have the power to heal our body, but it's not that easy for so many people. My people coming down to visit. Not sure about the my people, Karen. Backyard chickens, you have to register. Yeah, a lot of rubbish. And this one, the victim mentality. Absolutely. So when we want to we always got to have some jerks. Always, world can't be with them. So sorry, I was just booting someone out. The victim mentality, often people that continue to be in a state of pain, difficulty in their life, there is some kind of victim archetype going on with them. And that's another thing that people are not happy to accept or to be honest about. Thanks, Jackie. Cool. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a very real thing, Tanya, and it's happening here as well. Jackie, Tanya. Jackie sings "Let It Be, Let It Be." Yeah, beautiful way. In words of wisdom, let it be. Tanya and Jackie singing away. From New Age of Aquarius, but they work closer. Right. Yeah, that's a common thing, Twinkle, spiritual bypass in the true soul work, very much, very much. But, that's them, and this goes for everybody, and this is something to remember. When we let others go on by on their path, that's where we can really be stronger in ourselves. So rather than looking at criticizing and wasting our energy on what someone else is doing or is not doing, better just to move on by, just let them keep going. Oh, I see, Kim. Okay. Well, see, I don't have recall of messages. So if that's what was said, that's what it is. And it's best for you to simply leave it. It's not for you to worry about or to try and take action on. And this is a really important point. Kim Jane has brought up that when she had a reading with me, this information came through about her father, and they've obviously passed on some really important stuff. I'll put up here for you to read. So this is another thing about healing and about receiving guidance. So this is the guidance that Kim Jane was given. That's about her father. It's not about her. And this is something that I see a lot, where people decide that they've then got to take on something that is nothing to do with them. That guidance was given because there's been a question of some sort that they're answering. It's being answered. But it's not for you to keep in your mind and worry over and question. The mind will question relentlessly. And this is where you cause a lot of angst and a lot of difficulty for ourselves in our lives. Let it be. And words of wisdom, as Tanya says, let it be. And Jackie, let it be. And this is one of the challenging parts about being a channel. The information that comes through is incredible, but it's often so much higher than what the mind of the person receiving it can cope with or wants to cope with. So they want to make it into something they hang on to. And it's got to be understood that guidance is exactly that, and it's not something that the mind can get its head around, especially when it's to do with someone else. So all things, just remind me, all things are seen in time. All things are known in time. So if you want to do some incredible magical healing with yourself, think about going on that walk, that swim, that leap, that's whatever it is, on a swing, and determine how it is you want to feel when you finish. And leave behind everything that is past its use-by date. Everything that is not serving you. If you want to become your body's best friend, begin to really listen to how you describe what is going on in your body and own it. Go deeper into it. And if you say straight up, but I'm scared, then there is your starting point. What is it that you are fearful of? What is filling you with fear? And own it. And then begin to step away. Step away to be able to heal. Don't step in. If you're going to step in, you step in to fill every single part of you with divine light, God's light, love. And you don't question it. You let it be. Yeah, Tanya, that's exactly right. Oh, Twinkle, you're very welcome. That's beautiful. Thank you. So, in closing tonight, I'd like to read you the poem, depending on your era, that was brought forward when they were talking to me about beginnings and ending, distractions and focus, right? So this beautiful book of poetry actually comes from, as I said, pioneers across the Nullarbor Wadjala people vote. This one's called The Pioneers by Nan Nash of Mundrabilla Station. In the shade of the rocky escarpment lie two lonely graves on the hill of pioneer Thomas Kennedy and poor young Annie McGill. When the families left for the outback, did the town send them off with a cheer? Did they set out full of elation and hoped to be there in a year? Their camels and sheep, all thirsty with drought, how far was their ultimate goal? When they sat at night by their campfire, did they dream of their next waterhole? In the shimmering haze of the salt bush, neath the sun's relentless rays, did they long for the cool of the evening, respite from the long weary days? When they slept at night neath the wagons, did they dread a spear in their back? Did they live in fear of the natives as they blazed out their lonely track? When they finally reached their selection, no utopia here to delight, no rivers or lakes, no sheltering trees, just a night breeze to offer respite. They carted rock from the hillside, they built up their walls with care. The windows were small and glassless. Did they ever give up in despair? At night, for rain did they silently pray, relief from the dark enmity. Did their spirits and hopes ever flounder for future prosperity? Did they long for the sound of a friendly voice, a neighbour to drop in tea? 'Twas a lonely life the pioneer led, for they had no company. There was no flying doctor to contact as maternity cases progressed. They did what they could for poor Annie. Heartbroken, they laid her to rest. Had they yearned to hear the baby's cry, the sound of pattering feet? Had they lived in hopes of a little one to make their life complete? I perform when my radio goes on the blink or one of my gadgets breaks down. Then I gaze at the graves and feel humble. Did they ever long for the town? And now that the highway is sealed and tourists go through by the mill, some remember their courage. They stop and pay homage by the two lonely graves on the hill. All things begin and end. No thing in this world is forever. So when you're in pain and you're longing for something else, know that it too shall pass. When you participate in your body, in your healing, you change everything. Magic happens. Kim Jane, I don't choose what the messages are, and I can only say to you that you have put your mind into it and made a determination on it, rather than accepting the guidance and letting things come into play. I've done this for many lifetimes, and the human condition is a condition and a half. Thank you, Karen Mack. Glad you enjoyed it. You're very welcome. Twinkle, yes, I will see you tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, Jackie, absolutely, love. Thanks, Tanya. Glad you enjoyed it. Terrific, Karen. So God bless one and all. Take away the messages and really begin to immerse yourself. Have a beautiful evening, and I'll see you next week, except for Twinkle. I'll see you tomorrow. Oh, cool, Tanya. Glad you loved it. Oh, that's beautiful. You're welcome, Lisa. Absolutely lovely, everyone. Love being with you. Good night, one and all.